right, welcome everybody. Another episode, Insurance 360, as I like to call it, I-360. Right,
oh, that's new to me.
Trying to shorten it a little bit. That's what I'm putting out there right now. But gosh, I feel like I say it all the time. A lot going on. Last episode we talked a lot about the new SEP, DSNP rules, all the FEMA changes that are coming around. So still a lot of moving parts going on. We felt like we shake it up a little bit. We're going to have a special guest today on. Has not been on our Insurance 360 podcast as of yet. You want to intro this? You want me to do this?
Yeah. So we have Nick Palo. Now I know Palo might be a name that you've never heard of here if you've dealt with Pinnacle, but I joke. Nick's a good friend. He's been doing this way longer than me. He knows a lot about the industry. I know he's going to go into a couple different things, technology, right? We're going to get into some discussions about lead funnels and stuff like that. So without further ado.
Yeah. I mean, it's really going to be a great conversation. We talked about Nick and having him on here is one of those things like we're like hiding, the number one marketer in the company from the Insurance 360 podcast. We talk about the amount of business that his agents and agencies coming in that he works with.
Yeah.
I mean, all the time. And there's really a method to the madness, as they say. So we're going to spend a couple minutes with Nick. We were able to secure him here. I told him he's got to leave his phone outside of the room for a couple of minutes because it's going to be beeping with all the phone calls and texts he gets from his distribution. So I'm hopeful that all of his agents and agencies will give him about 15 minutes with us. But it'll be great. So like you said, no further ado, let's bring on Nick Palo, AVP of Marketing at Pinnacle Financial.
Our secret weapon.
There you go. Special guest today, as we mentioned in the intro there, Mr. Nick Palo. You may not know Nick, but Nick's been around for quite some time with the Pinnacle team. Nick, how long you been with the company now?
I'm going on 18 years
18 years? I thought you were only like 22 at this point.
Oh, man. I was 22 when I started, actually.
When you started here at Pinnacle?
Yeah.
That's one thing about the Pinnacle team. We got longevity on our side. I mean, we go up and down the line, right? I've been here since 2003 myself.
Been here, but how long have you been working with Kevin and Angela?
Longer than that. Longer than that. 1996 was a good year. 1996.
Half our employees weren't born in 1996.
Yeah, it is a little bit crazy how time flies when you're having fun. I know you work with a lot of agencies over the years, and honestly, we were just so happy to have a couple of minutes because I know they kind of monopolize and take up a lot of your time with all their awesome strategies and everything that they're doing, and you're supporting them, in all their efforts and whatnot. So we wanted to really bring you on here and get some best practices as you're working with these top agents, these top agencies. Obviously you've been here and there's been a big evolution in the marketplace over the years. I still remember, starting in 2003, 2006 when they started first rolling out MA and the PDP plans. Everybody was selling MedSup at the time. So that was a huge monumental change. But we've had those incremental big changes really over the years. And it seems like this year, is no different. I mean, every year for the last 4 years, and we talk about it a lot, the changes have been pretty dramatic. So especially with you working with the agents and agencies, I mean, every year seems like a whole new marketplace.
Oh, yeah, especially these last couple years with all the different final rules that have been hitting us. And there's been a lot of changes in those final rules. I think the name of the game, especially for our successful agencies, is really planning and strategizing.
Yeah.
Right now during SEP, naturally, a lot of our successful agents are reaching out to all their clients that they worked with during AEP, making sure they're working on their retention, picking up new business. Of course, not marketing, but picking up new business.
Well, remember, we talk about OEP like Fight Club here on Insurance 360. First rule of OEP is you don't talk about OEP in your marketing. We use the Fight Club rule.
Exactly. So, they're all definitely working that book, making sure they're retaining that book.
And then AEP just ended too, so you've got probably all the clients getting new cards and everything else.
Exactly.
I mean, it's a great time to like really talk to all their clients again.
Absolutely, and there was so much shakeup in all the plans this year, and a lot of stuff that happened at the end of the year. And we all know, we've all been through it. That client thought the doctor was in network, and then might not be able to go to the doctor or go to fill a drug, and wasn't what they thought, and not necessarily the agent's fault. So dealing with all that stuff. But the most important thing is, naturally, I shouldn't say the most important thing, but another important thing that they're doing is strategizing. This year, I believe it's probably most important than it's ever been in a long time, because once again, all these new rules that we have, SCP is going to look a lot different.
We did our last episode of Insurance 360. We had Nikki from Aetna, who is the national DSNP person over at Aetna, and she gave a great breakdown of it. But, I mean, you're looking at the quarterly SCP for DSNP is pretty much gone. And even where it is available, it's only in like 23 of the states. So you got half the country pretty much looking at no more SEPs throughout the year.
Yeah, it's going to be a really interesting season, and this is where your marketer, at one of the 100 reasons your marketer is a critical role in your business. The marketers will sit down. They'll, number one, take a look at the markets that you do work in, and they'll help you strategize on how you're going to sell, what you're going to sell, how you like to sell, and help develop a plan based on your strengths and weaknesses and what is available in your market. And I can't stress that enough. And honestly, that's one strength that I've had over the years that have helped me get to where I was at with a lot of my agencies that we've helped grow over the years. That's one of my favorite things to do too. I think that's something that our marketers do really well, is they customize everything to that individual agent, because nothing's one size fits all.
Yeah, no, that makes a ton of sense. I mean, listen, we joke about it, but where we're at right now, in our progression at Pinnacle, we've been doing this a long time. There's a lot of noise out there, especially on social media. There's agencies that do a good job with different aspects of marketing and whatnot. I think we've grown to a point where really, I mean, we're doing sort of everything. Marketing, supporting agents in all of their efforts. Our agencies, great point you brought up, they might look at expanding their footprint. Like they're working in, I don't know, Missouri, but maybe, they come to us and say, is there opportunities elsewhere? Especially now with the SEP changes. Then we start looking at, well, maybe you got to look at Arkansas, maybe you have to look at Michigan, whatever the case may be, and we help them with that plan. So the strategizing is huge when it comes to expanding the growth of the agent.
10 minutes before we started here, I got off a call with one of our West Coast agencies that literally sat down, and they're going into 5 states on the East Coast and Midwest,
really,
specifically for what you just said.
All right, everybody in the Midwest and the East Coast, man, competition's out there. It's alive and well.
Those West Coast guys are coming for you.
Yeah, so listen, that's where the strategy comes in. We cannot stand pat, right? Yeah. If you're not growing, you're dying. And that's what it's all about. And that's why probably the agents and agencies you worked with over the years, probably just by yourself, probably do more business than half of the FMOs that are out there in the industry right now. Because we are working with them to grow that business, right? And it's not just expanding the clients themselves, which is huge. Talk a little bit about recruiting, because there's a lot of different things you can do for recruiting, but there's also planning that goes into that, because you start trying to recruit agents in August. What's going on? You got AHIP going on. You probably can't even contract with half the companies. All these other hurdles you got to jump through. So that's a big part of what you're doing as an agency.
Exactly. That actually goes hand in hand with kind of what we were just discussing with planning for SEP. Planning is one of the most important things. A lot of people tend to kind of just go off and I'm going to sell, I'm going to recruit, I'm going to do this. and they don't have a plan, and they don't have a written plan and that they're going to try and execute step by step.
Written plan, important.
Written plan.
Write it down. If you write it down, you hold yourself accountable to it. I like to put little check boxes next to my items. If you go into my office, I got things written on whiteboards with check boxes. I got to check them off to make sure they get done. Because there's too much going on. You never remember it, and you're like, oh, I had that great idea, 2 months ago. I guess I never did anything with it.
100%. And I'll say, too, I'm notorious for writing everything. I use my Notes app on my phone. I live off my Notes app. But I realize that, I do it with my goals as well. I do plans, goals, everything. I feel like if I write it out on a piece of paper or a Post-it or something and put it somewhere I can see, whether it's on my monitor or somewhere on my desk, it tends to work a little bit better than just writing it on a note in my phone that gets buried 600 notes down and I forget to go back. So writing these things out helps a little bit. But once again, planning and your marketers come into play again. Use the resources you have. We have literally every single thing out there in the marketplace and more. But one of our biggest strengths is the team that we have here, from our marketers to our support, to our design team, to our licensing team. I mean, they all really stand out and shine. And our marketers, and myself included, Jeff, we all work hand in hand. We will sit down. And when it comes to recruiting, there's a lot of different moving parts that you have to take into consideration. So what I like to do right now, especially with all the things going on with SEP, I'll take some data from maybe some of the CMS data, the carrier plan data, take a look at everything that's going on, and I'll use a combination of everything there and maybe a little bit of AI. We like to use our AI, put all that together. As well as we have a lot of agent lists, a lot of databases and things. Look at populations of agents and where they're located versus what products are available and what market penetration is. And I just did this 2 days ago, actually. And we said, okay, these 3 markets for this agency are prime areas. And let's go there.
Yeah.
So,
and especially with a lot of the new regional carriers coming up, territory or a spot where you didn't think it was as good. All of a sudden, there's 3 new companies that are selling product in there that now there's opportunity maybe that there wasn't before, right? And these are conversations that an agent, like you said, on the West Coast might not realize. In North Carolina, there's a new company, and maybe there's some opportunity there now to do some recruiting.
Exactly. We look at all the products available to us, and then also methods. Does this agency, is it a smaller agency? Is it a larger agency? Are they going to have a whole team with them? Is it just going to be 1 or 2 agents, a smaller GA? Do we have to fly 1 or 2 of our members out there to assist them? We're always happy to do our preferred partner meetings as well. So are we going to do more of a meeting? Do they want to start out trying to do more webinar-based things and Zoom calls? And there's 50 different ways that we can actually recruit.
Yeah.
So
it's really important. I mean, that's a great point. You're doing these meetings, and it's the technology is great, right? We're all using it. Zoom calls, all those types of things are great for doing some training and whatnot. But when these in-person events are happening, I mean, a lot of times we send our team out, whether it's you or another team member out, and it really is an in-person train-the-trainer going on a lot of times. And it really helps facilitate that agency being able to develop their style, to really be able to, a lot of times if you haven't done a lot of these meetings, when you show up, the setup, how the room's supposed to look, the technology, all those little things that you don't think about. Having somebody there that's done 100 of these things goes a long way. So I really think that's important. We may not be able to come to every single one you have, but certainly we're there to support you, and if it makes sense, we'll be out there.
Yeah, I know. I can speak firsthand. Years ago when we first started doing meetings like that on our own, the very first one I had to do back when we were doing hotel rooms.
Yeah.
The laptop wasn't working. Then I got the laptop working. The projector at the hotel didn't work. They didn't show up with the breakfast. I ran to Best Buy and just bought a new projector out of pocket because I wasn't sure if Angela was going to get mad at me for spending $600 on a projector.
Yeah.
I was so it was just like everything went wrong. And I would say, within a year later, stuff like that happens. And you're just like, okay, well, whatever.
Yeah, you just pivot, yeah.
Yeah, I had a meeting in Mississippi, and similar stuff happened. And I'm just like, all right, guys, so here's the material. Let's forget the technology. We're all going to chat.
Yeah.
And
we're going old school.
9 out of 10 people in the room contracted because they had a good time.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that interaction is just really important. Technology, again, it is great, but it's really about the people that make the difference, and that's really, I think, where I think you've come in with the rest of the team and really makes a difference, and why we've grown a lot of our agents and agencies over the years to just larger than they probably ever thought they were going to be. And we do have some of the best partners out there. I mean, there's no doubt about it. We have rock stars from the West Coast to the East Coast, but there's still so much opportunity. I mean, I was talking on our last podcast about still how many sales happen from call centers. These are all people that really don't have an in-person agent even to talk to. And then there's a whole population of people that only have Medicare A and B, or they have original Medicare. They don't have anything else, right? So you've got 11,000 a day now. It's not even 10 anymore. It's 11,000 a day. You've got all the call centers still writing a ton of people. I mean, this market is huge. There's so much opportunity for growth. And it's just how much do you want to grow, how quickly, and putting that plan together is just huge. And you mentioned meetings. I see so many meetings now. I mean, everybody's having an event these days, right? I don't even know half of them. Some are good. It depends which ones they are. You go to a lot of the meetings. What are you seeing out of the meetings these days? I mean, there's obviously better ones that are better for agents to go to.
Well, obviously, I mean, the most important meeting you could possibly attend is our huge Pinnacle events that we put on this
Pinnacle
year.
events. Oh, yeah.
Last year, I don't know. Well, I know our viewership on this podcast has exploded. I got to commend you, first of all. You and Rob have done an incredible job. I've been loving watching the views and the subscribers and everything just go through the roof every week. So, I know we got a lot of people watching and listening. But the championship series that we did last year at the stadiums, I mean, they were probably the coolest events we've done in the 18 years I've been
MetLife,
here.
Citizens Bank Park in Philly, MetLife in New Jersey, and then Nissan Stadium in Nashville. They were all really cool venues.
Awesome. And hundreds of people at each event. I mean, we speak to the carrier reps on at least one carrier rep a day at least, and I've never gotten such amazing feedback from every single rep, every single person that attended the event. They were just, everybody was blown away.
They're all blowing me up. I mean, when
Yeah,
for our calendar, which calendar's coming soon, so be available. You're not going to want to miss these. But to your point, I mean, when we put on these events, it's not fluff. I mean, we're really critical about the kind of stuff we do at these events.
That was the number one piece from the agent's perspective. I mean, all the carriers loved it because they got a huge opportunity to talk to so many agents because we had so many agents there. But that was the number one piece of feedback I got from my agents that attended was, there was no BS, for lack of a better term. You gave us actual useful information. You didn't just have the carriers talk about plan benefits, or there was no fluff. The keynote speaker had a real meaningful message, and everything that you gave us was useful info. I'm not going to call out any other meetings, but some of them had said they've been to some other events where they felt like it was just kind of a waste of time and money. Ours doesn't cost anything either. So
it's a really great point. I mean, I think it's important to understand that this is time for you to grow your business. If you want to make it a social event, we've been to events where it seems like it's like, there's a bunch of people in this industry that are sort of friendly with each other, and they all speak at each other's events and tell you about finding your why and all this other kind of stuff, which is great. I mean, it's interesting and whatnot, but I mean, we've really tried and dig down and get it into growing the business when we do these events, right? Your time is valuable, and we don't charge for these events. I mean, this is just what we do. I mean, this is our value prop as an FMO, as a partner with you. I mean, that's important to know.
Yeah, we spend a lot of time trying to make sure that you leave that event saying, okay, maybe you didn't take something from every single speaker, but you did 75% of
Right.
those speakers and was like, okay, that was a great time. I had fun. I learned a lot. And, I think I'm going to increase my productivity and increase my business.
Yeah.
And it's great. There's, a lot of events out there now. I mean, and we have to attend sometimes just to show face. Medicarians is probably one of the most popular events.
And that's grown a lot. I mean, the first couple of years was not like the last couple of years. I mean, you've got
just over the last 3 or 4 years.
Yeah,
it's
over
exploded.
1,000 agents from all over the country that are coming to that. So it's really grown.
And it is a great event. It's an excellent time to network. It's a great opportunity to maybe meet some new vendors, maybe lead vendors or tech
Right.
vendors or things like that. It's definitely a recruiting fest. I mean, it's like, you're going into the Shark Tank there. You got to be prepared for that.
A lot of lead vendors. They're gonna grab you. They're certainly gonna hit you up.
Oh my gosh!
Everybody's got the best lead system.
I think I spoke to more lead vendors at our booth than I did agents a couple of the days.
Yeah, it does seem like that sometimes.
Yeah, but it was like, I was starting my conversations with, are you an agent or a lead vendor? It's a great event. Of course, it's always fun to be in Vegas. It's been in Vegas every year. So, and we have tons of our agents out there.
Yeah, we'll be
so
out there
I'd love
next
to see
year.
them.
We're going to have a big booth again this year. I mean, at the end of the day, it's really important to make sure you're on top of anything that's new.
Yeah.
I mean, for all the lead companies out there, I mean, we do a lot of vetting on lead companies. I mean, Nick will tell you, we're always like testing a new lead source with an agent before we roll it out to everybody, just to say, hey, what do you think about this? So we can sort of make sure there's going to be some kind of return on investment before we have our agents out there spending their money. So we're always testing new ones out there. So there are good ones, there's new ones. There's some that are tried and true. I mean, we talk about our seminar program. We've been crushing it with that for a couple of years now, for sure. There's a couple of really good appointment setting programs that I know we're doing business with that really work. Social media marketing. There's a lot of things that we do, and it's really but it's important to know we don't want you to be setting your money on fire. We test it.
Yeah, we have some key partners that we usually go right to that we're confident they have strong closers and do everything right, track the leads, put everything in the CRM, disposition everything, so we can get some accurate feedback. So we actually know before we open it up to our other agents. The last thing I want is an independent agent that's kind of towards the beginning of their career, doesn't have a ton of funding, to go spend their whole monthly budget and the lead program's a bust.
Right.
Number one, that hurts the agent. Number two, that reflects horribly on us.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. Yeah, we take that very personally.
Yeah.
If something like that happens. So we do our best, and I think we do a pretty good job of making sure we do some vetting before we make any of that available. But also, just following up a little bit on the end of your point there, there are some tech systems that you really need to have, because when you are getting leads, I mean, you're not necessarily selling them all that day or on that appointment. Some of them might be a couple of months out. You sort of got to X date them. Some you might not be able to do anything till AEP, especially now. They might not even have an SEP, even if they're a SNP prospect, depending on the location. So you've got to have a good lead system, but you also have to have a good follow-up system. So tech is important, right? To have good tech, a good follow-up program. You want to talk a little bit about how you've seen the tech change, how we mentioned AI. I mean, another obviously huge tool that's out there, right? But, it's a tool to help us grow.
Oh, yeah. I mean, towards the beginning of my career, I remember I was just begging people just to put information on a spreadsheet.
Right.
Just have something digital in a spreadsheet format so we could, send it to mail houses
Right.
back when mailers were really drawing. And just be able to manipulate that data somehow. And today, I still have certain agents that I'm begging to even use a spreadsheet, let alone a CRM.
Right.
But your average agent now, I will say, definitely realizes the need for at least a basic CRM, or at the very least, a well-kept spreadsheet. And as long as they have a well-kept spreadsheet, we are able to get them all set up with our new platform, which is Boss.
Yeah.
And I'm sure I've listened to some of the podcasts. I haven't gotten to listen to every single one, but if you guys haven't been talking about Boss.
Yeah, no, we definitely talk it up, and we even had, if you go back a little bit, we had a whole episode with the architect of Boss, and it's really come a long way. The portal system, I mean, it's invaluable for agents and agencies to be able to track all their carriers, their agent numbers. Are they ready to sell with the policy information? I mean, all in one spot. And the portal, by the way, just like our meetings, all of our agents get that portal for nothing, right? I mean, I think that's an important point to make, right? If you're seeing a lot of noise out there from other organizations, and they charge you for everything. And then, by the way, which I think is always interesting, I digress a little bit here, you'll then see them, on a boat somewhere, and just so you know, your money is how they got to go on that boat. So, or their brand new car they just bought, or they're posting from their vacation villa somewhere. So we like to think that those are all value adds for us. So we see those things as our partnership with you, and it's important.
Absolutely. And going back to what you were just saying, with the leads they're generating or working, you have clients or leads that may not be able to be worked for months later. And so we have the portal. Boss is two separate platforms almost. You have your portal, which does all the back end stuff that Bob just mentioned. But then you have your CRM, and your CRM is literally state of the art. This will do everything from all your normal capabilities of a CRM. But now all these leads that you're working, you're setting your dispositions for, but you also have automations. So you can have birthday emails sent out. You can have reminders. You can have monthly newsletters. All these things done automatically for you, so you're staying in their face and they're being reminded of you until it's time for that actual appointment where you can write that business.
Yeah.
So
build that AEP funnel, Nick.
Exactly.
Build
that funnel so next thing you know, that call center agent doesn't catch them right before it's time, and you lost that sale that you spent money on a lead to get.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
It's
absolutely
critical to be using this technology.
Yeah. So this time of year, you got all your retention efforts going on, but you got to remember, you got to grow not only your client base, you're looking at OEP, is there opportunities there? You've got the SEP changes that are going on. Are you looking at doing recruiting, expanding into new territories? What states are those to go into? This time of year, there's no downtime anymore. Like, there is no downtime. You have to keep things moving. So that's where the plan comes into place. So you have all that going on right now. Build in your funnel. Make sure you have the right tech set up. Make sure you have the right carrier set up. Working with the sales team here at Pinnacle is huge. We'll check the boxes off. We'll help you put that all together, which is really important. As much as tech is important, people matter, right? We've got a lot of experience here, right?
Absolutely. And the one other thing I want to mention while we're on tech, it's completely related. You have your design team that you work with, and another thing that I'm shocked so many agents still aren't on top of is, at this day and age, at the bare minimum, a lot of people don't care for social media, and that's perfectly fine, but you should at the least have a Facebook page. The other platforms, great, but at the least a Facebook page for your business, if not for any other reason, to give your business a little bit of credibility, and a basic web page. And those are both something that our design team can help you with. If you do not have a logo to use, our design team can do it at no charge. Our design team is absolutely incredible. They've done so much for my agents and agencies, whether they're putting on recruiting meetings, whether they're putting on T65 meetings. They do all types of signage, marketing, everything like that. But if you're an agent, you don't have a website and a Facebook page to go along with everything else you're doing. I just want to, put this into perspective. Imagine you're working with a client that's 65, 70, and you went over everything and you left that with them to review. They bring in one of their children. What do you think the first thing that child's going to do? They're going to Google you.
Google.
And if they can't find anything
credibility.
on you lose credibility immediately.
It's
Pinnacle
huge.
will make the website for you, and Rob and somebody else can help you create the Facebook page in almost no time.
We'll work with you on the domains. What do you want to call it? You want to be bestmedicareagentever.com, whatever it is that you like to have as your domain. We'll help you set that all up. But no, it's really it's a great point. These are just value add services. We want our agents out there selling, growing, and these other services we really feel like is what we do, right? And we feel like we do them pretty well. Take advantage of them. And that's where you're working with your marketer. They can go over these opportunities with you to grow your stuff and, be the next big agency that's working with Nick, right? That's the idea, is to keep growing because the market's, jumping right now. Change of administration. We got our hopefully our good friend Dr. Oz now sort of in charge. We'll see how things go there. I mean, we don't know yet, not a lot of actions, but I'm sure he's going to put his stamp on things, and we'll get an idea here shortly. The 2026 final rule, proposed final rule came out, which didn't look great for anybody who wants to market Medicare, but obviously our hope and we're anticipating maybe that won't go into place, and they'll put out their own final rule for 2026. So more to come on that, I'm sure. So we hope.
I feel like there's going to be a couple podcasts on the 2026 final rule.
Yeah, that'll be more to come. We were trying not to go a little bit extreme overboard because it's not in effect as of yet. So we'll talk a little bit more about that when we know more. Awesome. Yeah. But Nick, great to take a couple of minutes. I know you probably got like 40 phone calls. You've had your phone down for now. You've had
11 o'clock. I got 1 minute.
Yeah, you got 1 minute before you got to go and jump on a conference call. We appreciate you jumping on with us. Anything you need, contact our marketing team here at Pinnacle. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Bob. Appreciate you.
Yeah, man. There you go. Wow. Secret weapon. Right. A lot of good stuff going on, man. You got to make a plan. You got to write it down. We talked about, how do we grow the business? What's going on in the industry? A lot of changes, but a lot of it just is the same. You got to have a method to your methodology on how to grow things, right?
Yeah, I mean, but with all the movement, that just, to me, it just equals opportunity.
Yes.
Right? And I think with all of the technology that I know that we're providing our agents and all the new just different channels that you have available now, even compared to 10 years ago when I first started, it's just vastly different. And I really feel like with all the movement this year, along with all of that, it's a perfect storm to capitalize.
Yeah, no, really, really important. Nick, as you mentioned, his whole team down there, the marketing people, all the assets that we have here at Pinnacle, all available. If you're not already working with the Pinnacle team, it's probably a good time to do that, right? We're still January, which I don't know. I feel like January's gone fast, but I still feel like it's not over yet. It's still It's still January, but you still have time. I mean, OEP's not over yet. A lot of changes going on in the STIP marketplace with how you work that. So, got a plan. Before we know it, it'll be your favorite time of year. It'll be cert time of season, which I don't see you for about 4 months.
You think my beard's gray now? You wait till after cert season. I just get more and more more hairs.
Yeah, a lot of questions on certs as they come out every year. So before we know it'll be that time of year. Meetings coming up. We're going to have more coming out at the new Pinnacle events. Right, we're not going to put anything out there yet, but it's going to come here very shortly.
Stay tuned.
It's coming. Yeah, and we'll have a lot more information on that. But I want to thank again Nick for letting us steal 20 minutes out of his time. And I'm sure we'll have more to come on all the updates for Medicare.
Well, I mean, every week's a new week here,
Yeah.
so I feel like we get new things all the time popping up. So
All good stuff, though.
yeah, hey, look,
There
you
you
know
go.
what? You gotta remember too. You gotta keep in mind that new FEMA thing's coming out too,
Yeah.
where
April 1st.
April 1st, people. You
Yeah.
can no longer write people into a FEMA. I know. I feel like we should mention it every time because we're going to get that call April 1st. Be like, hey, I don't see it on our apps. So just always got to make sure I put that out there because we're getting calls about the FEMA stuff.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, still no official word of agent of record stuff from the carriers and how that process will work. But we'll make sure that we keep everybody up to date. I mean, we don't want to, everything's speculative right now. So once we get those concrete answers, we'll be sure to get them out there. So make sure you follow and like. What is it? We got to follow, we gotta
subscribe,
and like, and we'll make sure that we get all that information out there on all of our social media channels as well. So.
Yeah.
Rob, great episode.
Bob.
Thank you again.
Yeah,
A couple of
absolutely.
minutes there.
Cheers, people.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us.
Have a great morning, midday, afternoon, nighttime, whenever you listen to us.
There you go. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Take it easy.